Get that paper, told that Glock, that's how we live. Yeah, my life's a game, I pray I don't get killed. They can't believe I got to go out this shit for real. Can't accept the fact my brother gone, I wanna kill. Yeah, I can't go for that shit don't sit right. Instead of cabin to the old nigga, I know what you live like. Ain't worried about all just fuck these hoes and live life. I grown the drill, I'm smart enough, you gotta know how to kill.
Days began to pass. The training pick echoed with sharp passes and breathless sprints. Agi intercepted Rayo's pass in mid-scrimmage, sliding the ball cleanly off his foot. Rayo, Agi said calmly, already pushing forward. Nagi isn't evolving anymore. Rayo continued to chase after him. That's not true. This whole league is about growth. Nagi's ceiling is insanely high, and you know it. Agi didn't argue that. He only nutmegged Rayo and spun around him. Chigiri then bursted down the line. As he passed it to him, a goal. Agi then turned, his voice low. Yeah, we all know that's true. But this dream that you always speak of, is that his dream or one you handed to him? Rayo froze, all his ideals being challenged in that one question. Then, as they went off on their own, Rayo couldn't help but replay it all in his head. We'd see Isagi somewhere else, monitors beeping. Henri adjusted the scanner overhead. Muscle density increased again, reaction speed up 3%. Yoichi, how do you even feel right now? Silence in the room. His eyes were empty, focused on something far beyond this room. Yeah, right. That's always your answer. Just silence. I know you want to be the world's best, and I know that's something Ego-sama has implanted it within you. But who are you, deep down? What happened to this player? She flashed the screen to a younger Yoichi Isagi, playing in junior high, playing in middle school, playing when he was a child. All of these memories are on the screen. All of this data of his previous life. Isagi stands up, ripping some of the stuff that was on him off. Looking at Henri as he puts his shirt on. That version of me still exists. I hold it dear. I always will. But I also let it die to create this version of me. The one who will achieve all his goals above all else. And when it's all said and done, I'll stand at the pinnacle of football, above everyone. Isagi returned to his side of the stratosphere within Blue Lock. Continuing his training, his weightlifting, his daily regimen, Chris Prince would truly amplify everything that they were doing, turning up the intensity to its maximum. Soon, their next match was announced, and they'd be walking in. Isagi stepped onto the pitch, looking around. His contract value had flashed again, going up, surging, but he didn't look away. He didn't care for it. The whistle would blow, starting the match. Rayo controlled the ball in the midfield. Chigiri, to your left. He passes the ball, leading it forward, and Chigiri accelerated. Cutting inside, he goes to go for a shot, but it's blocked. Iki Nico had read it. Too obvious. The deflection soared towards the box. Isagi leapt for it, chest trapping it, then spinning. A shadow loomed over him. Don Lorenzo grinned. Yo, Ace. This is the first time we're meeting, Yoichi Isagi. But I've heard a lot about you. Isagi rolled the ball under his sole, shifting his weight like a street baller. Lorenzo mirrored it perfectly. Aiku stabbed in. Isagi toe flicked the ball over his leg, into a midair shot. However, Nico made his run, blocking it with his head. I won't lose to you again, Isagi. Isagi clicked his tongue in this moment, aggravated that shot was even blocked. The Ubers begin their counter. 3 passes, perfect spacing into Snuffy's system. Ball received the ball finally. 1 touch, then a second, then a power drive shot into the goal. Baru glared at Isagi. You still exist beneath me. Isagi's breath slowed. That memory, that loss, that game, and looking at the loser's gate. All of it sat within Isagi's mind. Soon, they had to respond. Having the ball in their possession, Agi drove forward, dropping it to Reo. A one-touch, through ball. Isagi then cut through, at Lorenzo's blind side, trapping it, and then looking back at the goal. Lorenzo pressed him. You can't turn from here, you know that, right? Isagi lifted a ball with a toe scoop, pivoting his body. Piss off already, you talk too much. An outside foot shot into the goal. Aiku would mutter to himself. That felt just like Sai. Lorenzo didn't even smile, knowing that goal was definitely his fault for playing around and toying with his food. He's different. Pretty interesting. The Ubers now have to start their own attack from midfield after the game resets. They pushed through Lorenzo this time, but Reo tracked him down. Chameleon style, Isagi version. He mirrored Isagi's scanning, timing, and his pressure perfectly. For once, he kept up. The pass broke free anyway. Baru lined up, but it's stolen. By Nagi. Not today, King. Baru snarled. Out of my way, you extra. Nagi then passed it to Reo. Let's go. Reo then chipped the ball. Nagi trapped it with his thigh, and silence fell. He lifted the ball over Nico, spun around Ryu, and now a shot fake. Aiku slid in the way again. Another shot fake. Lorenzo lunged. A fake again. The defense was frozen. Then, it seemed as if the world stood still as the 5-shot revolver fake volley happened into a goal. The world would explode. Nagi stared at his foot in disbelief. Iga, watching remotely, muttered, a miracle, as it won't happen again. Chris Prince folded his arms. So what now, genius? Isagi didn't even look over at Nagi. He tracked the movements, the rotations of the ball, the grasp that he put on it. Then a grin formed. Fine, I'll devour the rest. Baru quickly abandoned formation. I don't need your tactics, Snuffy. He bulldozed through the midfield, straight at Isagi. The field then tightened. Baru powered through with the shoulder contact. Isagi slipped his foot at the perfect angle. A clean steal. Your path only goes forward, he said flatly. Baru's eyes shook. Then, a final sequence commenced. Chigiri sprinted free. A cross was sent in, barely over Aryu's head. Nagi would leap in. He shoots, but Aiku and Lorenzo, they block it together. Not happening, Aiku screams. Lorenzo says it's not half bad, especially for the offer that he currently has. The ball rockets out. Now, it was at the edge of the box, bouncing, before one person makes his way to it. Isagi. Metavision blazing, flow roaring. Baru lunged at him, yelling his name. Isagi. Too late. Isagi had planted his foot. Chris Prince, his knuckleball technique. A 0-point knuckleball. The ball flew without spin, then wobbled, violently dipping into the goal. Silence filled the area. Teammates began to swarm him. He didn't even move. Baru stared, hollow. For the first time, the king, he was no longer being chased. He was being surpassed. And a monster was born from the wild card. No more reacting to the game. No more feeling left behind by prodigies. No, it completely revolved around him. He was the center of play. Seishiro Nagi had a different reaction. He was dumbfounded by it all. Even though he had created that super goal, no matter what happened, he couldn't recreate it. Not that feeling, not that moment. And in that moment, he was sure that he surpassed Isagi. But he wasn't able to reach that pinnacle again, which was so frustrating. Meanwhile, Isagi continued to create goals like that without fail. The stadium lights had barely cooled when the numbers would soon hit the screen. A 170 million yen offer at rank 1. The world then buzzed around, but Isagi didn't. Meanwhile, we'd go to Igo's lab. Wires hang from his arms. Heart rate monitors click steadily. muscle fibers scanned in the cross-section. This was days after the match, as we'd see Henri staring at the graphs. This isn't normal growth. His muscle efficiency, his neural responses, the speed of it, his oxygen conversion, everything so far ahead of projection. Ego then adjusted his glasses, eyes gleaming in the dark. Of course it is. He looks at Isagi. You're ahead of schedule to reach Noel Noah's physical tier. The Manshine training has accelerated the process beautifully. Silence filled the room. Ego soon leaned forward. But don't you misunderstand, Isagi. You're still crawling at the entrance to the world stage. Don't get drunk on these numbers. Those monsters out there haven't even turned their heads towards you yet. Isagi soon stood up once all the tests were done. Who said I was stopping? Ego smirked. Good, because this is only the prologue. Isagi exits the room and later continues his training with his team. Soon, they were on the training ground on a 4v4 scrimmage. Chris Prince clapped once. A quick game. Let's move. Isagi steps in. Across from him, Nagi. But something was off. His eyes no longer shined. The game started, and immediately, Isagi's side took control. He played at a ruthless tempo. One-touch passes, body feints, inside cuts, shielding every ball like it was oxygen. He drove forward, using a step over into a drag back, then bursted between two defenders, completely in a flow state. He set the ball up once, a direct overdrive cannon. The net exploded. Enough, Chris called. On the sideline, we'd see Chris and Nagi. Everyone dispersed. Oi, Nagi, stay for a little bit. Nagi stopped, staring at the grass, and Chris folded his arms. It seems you're fading. Huh? That spark you had from your miracle goal. It's gone. Tell me something. Do you even love the sport of football? Nagi blinked. I just played because it's what Reo asked me to do. Then Isagi showed up, so I chased after him. Chris's voice softened. That's no way to desire. That's not even hunger. That's drifting. Nagi remembered that roar, the goal, the sky opening, and then nothing. Nothing at all was left. As he said, I feel empty. Chris nodded. Then go find your reason. Not Reo's, not Isagi's. The reason for Seishiro Nagi to become the world's best. For the first time, Nagi felt those words and cherished them as he walked away alone. In the field, it felt even bigger than before. Days continued to pass as everyone trained. The final match of the Neo Egoist League was soon upon us. Everything was leading up to this moment. Nagi was nowhere to be seen, but Isagi was at the pinnacle of it all. Agi, Reo, Chigiri, and many more teammates surrounded him. Isagi was almost like the sun as his teammates would orbit him. Everything that he did somehow made everyone better, even when he didn't even try to. It was something like a domino effect. But soon, the match was announced. Manshine City versus FC Barka. The tunnel in the air, it buzzed. The boots scraped the concrete. Bachira jogged over the moment he saw him on the pitch. Isagi, long time no see, isn't it? And for a split second, Isagi smiled. A true, small, genuine smile. And Chigiri blinked. He can still make that face? After all of this? Bachira continued to grin. You know, you got super scary. Too bad I'll be the one to take you down. Isagi's eyes sharpened once again. There's no time to play around anymore. Bachira tilted his head. He wondered what Isagi would say as he continued. I've already died once, he said quietly. Losing means disappearing, and I won't feel that despair again. Bachira's grin widened, almost feral. Good. Then let's devour each other, you egoist. Kickoff happens, and Bachara has an opening storm. His team flows around him. Not structure, no fear, one-touch passes like laughter. Otoya spun around a defender with a roulette and then chipped it. Bachara didn't even trap it. He twisted midair, a butterfly volley, into a goal. He landed smiling. Still chasing monsters, Isagi? Isagi watched him jog back. That freedom. Something I can't have on the field. But I've chosen a different path of strength. Soon England has their own attack as the game reset. Rayo would drive the ball forward, using a body feint into a La Corta. Soon, Isagi ghosted between lines, and Nagi was seen sprinting too. Rayo hesitated, instantly then passing to Nagi. The ball was stolen. Bachara toe poked it away. Same trick again? You copycats sure are cute. He and Otoya broke instantly, a backheel pass into a give and go. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. Then, Otoya finished it. 2-0. Chris Prince soon stood up. Say Shiro. Nagi didn't react. Chris's voice cut through the air. That's enough. A substitution happens. Wait, Rayo whispered, but Chris looked over at the bench. Then, to a player who we never really saw much of, but I feel like this is a perfect time just to interject him. Chris then tells Aomori's Messi to go in. Nishioka Hajime enters the game. Show me your ideal self. The formation then shifts to a 4-4-2. Agi and Isagi up top, Hajime and Rayo on the central, and Chigiri on the wing. As Hajime enters, chaos arrives. The ball recycled back. Hajime touched it once, then an elastico. The defender froze. A rainbow flick happens next, and Lavinho stood up. Oh, that's a dangerous kid you got there. A secret ace at play? Chris Prince only laughed, not paying attention to it. Hajime continued to smile. I'm getting fired up already. Yeah, me too. You're an interesting one. Bachara steps in. The two freestylers collided. Stepovers, soul rolls, and shoulder feints. Hajime used a reverse elastico, then a drag back into a spin. Bachara's eyes lit up as his monster formed around him. You're so exciting. He lunged in, and Hajime faked inside and spun out. Then, a Rabona pass. Hopefully you're ready, you egoist. The ball soared like a shot. Everyone reacted. Bachara turned his head. No way. Rayo would say, that's too deep. But all through it all, they could hear their master, Chris Prince. Beautiful pass. Hajime then pointed. You're the ace, aren't you, Yoichi Isagi? The ball then dipped, and Isagi was already there. Metavision, flow, into a direct shot. A goal. The world gasped. Kids screamed at their TVs. Commentators who were broadcasting it yelled, who is that kid? And Hajime only bows towards Chris Prince. Then, Isagi walks over, a fist bump. Next one too. Keep it up. We're taking everything here. In the observation room, a dark monitoring room, the screens replayed that Rabona assist from 5 angles. Honori leaned forward. That's substitution. His spatial awareness, it's abnormal. He saw Isagi before Isagi even moved. Ego adjusted his glasses. Nishioka Hajime. Interesting. A creative anomaly placed beside the most logical driven striker in Blue Lock. The replay slowed down for a moment. Hajime's eyes flicked only once. Ego smirked. He didn't pass to where Isagi was. He passed to where he should exist. That's a chemical reaction. Honori swallowed. So, he's... Yup, a catalyst, Ego finished. But a catalyst, they don't shine alone. The screen then froze on Isagi scoring. Back onto the field, Bachara and his team would try to answer quickly. Lavinho clapped, telling them to play loose and break their rhythm up a little bit more. But Agi and Chigiri pressed in like lightning. Agi stretched his leg in, poking the ball free, and Shigiri bursted down the flank, red hair soaring through the wind. Rayo received the drop pass. The right side, it's open. He fed the ball back again to Chigiri on the overlap. Two Barka defenders then collapsed onto him, and Chigiri didn't slow down. With the outside of his boot, he needle-threaded a pass that split them. Hajime received it. Back to the goal, a defender tight. He then feinted to the left, and the defender lunged, because Isagi was already drifting in that direction, and Hajime smiled. Don't forget, I'm still a striker too. He shifted to the right, and curled a finesse shot towards the far post. Levinho's eyes widened. That kid! The keeper leapt at it, but a blue blur appeared from thin air. Isagi, a mid-air interception of this goal, and then a direct volley. The net snapped again. Hajime began laughing. You thief! Isagi landed. Your shot was already off by 4 centimeters. Chris Prince then grinned on the sideline. A perfect parasitic instinct. Levinho exhaled slowly. So that's the monster you've raised. Barka soon to respond, and Levinho began stretching before stepping onto the pitch, and the air would shift. The grass, it didn't feel flat anymore. It felt tilted, like gravity had shifted towards him. Even the air around him felt different. Stretching thin for some reason. The world was holding its breath, knowing how this striker performed on the field. Beside him stood Bachira, who was light on his toes, grinning wide. The two of them stood in the same playful manner, mirror images of each other. Chris Prince then walked on from the opposite side, posture straight, jaw set, a royal presence without even trying. Levinho rolled the ball under his sole, smiling lazily. Can I enjoy this dance with you, Your Majesty? And Chris exhaled through his nose. Try not to trip over your own tricks. The master's duel soon commences. The ball moved and Levinho flicked it up instantly. A sombrero flick over Chris's shoulder. Before it landed, he stepped around, cushioning it with the outside of his boot, flowing straight into rapid step-overs, his hips loose and his rhythm unpredictable. Well, that is for most. Chris Prince didn't bite. He mirrored the footwork, matching angles, closing space without fouling. Levinho cut outside, and Chris matched it. An inside cut. Chris pivoted. Levinho laughed mid-dribble. Yeah, that's it. Keep up. Their feet blurred. Technique versus technique. A flair against polished. Instinct versus control. Then, a third presence slid in out of nowhere. Rayo, his stance low, reading everything. Copy style. Snake. His leg slipped in between Levinho's stride at the exact frame that the ball had left his laces. It pokes out, a loose ball, but a shadow had already predicted that. Bachira has the ball, scooping it up with a playful touch. The monster says thanks. Before he could accelerate, a body pressed in. Hajime, a smile, and a smirk. Round 2. The freestyle duelists would go again. They moved like kids on a street pitch, except every touch was elite. Bachira danced first, an elastic dribble, an outside tap, trying to run away, but Hajime stayed right with him. Then suddenly, a heel drag to create space. Hajime soon answered, running in to try and steal the ball, but Bachira feints him away. But Hajime instantly spins, catching back up. Now, he was still on his hip. Bachira soon grinned wider than ever. This is getting so exciting. He then launched a rainbow flick over Hajime's knee, but Hajime instantly grabs it, cushioning it with his back heel. With the crowd who was watching from all around the world in different places would be roaring at this matchup, couldn't believe who these two were. Between them, the ball circled like a shared secret, and Bachira bursted left. Hajime predicted it, sliding across the lane. As Bachira would shoot, Hajime blocks it. It's clean, his eyes sharp. Metavision. Bachira will blink. You too. You and Isagi both share those eyes. Even with this missed shot, everyone who was watching could tell that England was on the back heel here. They were forced into a defense. But soon, a turning point would arise. As the deflection rolled away, a free ball, waiting. But, as everyone expected, someone else had stepped in. Rayo gets it and actually sends the ball right to Isagi. Isagi began to slow down. The world around him dulled. His breath was loud in his own ears. But then, his voice cut through it all. "I'll crush all of you." He moved and Otoya lunged at him. Isagi performs a sharp turn, cutting the ball past his leg. Otoya's momentum carried him past him. Move. 3 strides and Levinho stepped forward, his smile fading into focus. "You're good, kid. But this is your limit." That word, limit. The field disappeared. A flashback happens. Kira smiling as Isagi lost. Baru standing over him. Naruhaya's prediction. The elimination gate. Ego's voice. "You're nearing your ceiling." Noel Noah's back as he chased after it. Kaiser's throne as he stood at its feet. I hate that word. I hate it so much. I wish I could get rid of it completely. Black puzzle pieces whirled around him. One glowed. Limit. It then begins to crack, before shattering. I'll erase it completely from my mind. He chopped the ball again, this time in Baru style. Space carved open for him for a moment, and Levinho recovered instantly, being shocked by that move. But it was too late. Isagi's body coiled. From there, Levinho whispered, 42 meters away. Isagi's lips moved. Die in silence. All of you. His laser struck the ball. Every muscle fiber fired at once. A new piece then went into place. Limit breaker. The ball launched out. No spin, no rotation. Just raw velocity and unstoppable air displacement. The seams of it trembled, wobbling, and unpredictable, like physics had glitched. The keeper dove. His hands reached, but the ball didn't even curve. It didn't dip normally. It floated, then violently swirled at the last instant into the net. And for half a second, no sound emerged. A new shooting technique evolved from constant pressure. The dead calm singularity shot. Now, in the observation room, Ego couldn't believe it. Henri's tablets slipped from her hands and clattered against the floor. Ego-san, that shot, her voice continuing to shake. On the central monitor, Isagi's body model rotated in 3D. Muscles, joints, neuroscience, all mapped in real time. Numbers were still climbing. They weren't supposed to continue to climb though. His muscle output just spiked at 126% of his projected max capacity. Oxygen consumption is beyond the calculated red zone. His neural response latency dropped below measurable delay. This is, she swallowed. This is outside of the human data set. One screen then flashed red, then another, then all of them. Error, error, error. Calculation impossible. The simulation of the shot trajectory replayed. Again and again. Each time, the predicted path differed because the system couldn't define it. This can't be real. Ego sat there in silence, looking at the screens. Everything had led up to this moment. Yoichi Isagi was truly something else. If he repeats that motion a few more times, the structural muscle tearing could occur. But his body compensated in real time. His nervous system rerouted load distribution mid-swing. Henri couldn't believe it. He rewrote his own movement pattern while executing that shot. Ego stood still for a moment, his hands still in his pockets, his glasses reflecting the red warning signs. So he did it. Henri looked at him, shaken up. Did what? Ego's eyes didn't leave the screen. He crossed the wall between growth and evolution. It then replayed one more time. Frame by frame, muscle fibers fired into a chain reaction. Not natural, not trained, improvised, and weaponized. He didn't surpass his limits through talent, Ego said softly. He did it through logic, under extremity. His brain calculated a solution that his body had never performed, then forced it into a reality to obey. Another alert popped up. Cerebral load, critical threshold breached. Henri covered his mouth. His brain activity is higher than during his first metavision awakening. This is dangerous for him. Ego smiled slowly. That's why it is beautiful. Other geniuses are born with weapons. The screen shifted. Kaiser, Rin, Baru, Itoshi Sai, Don Lorenzo, and many more. Yoichi Isagi, however, manufactures them mid-battle. What was that shot? Ego answered without hesitation. A singularity. A point where prediction collapses. A faint chuckle left him. The moment a player becomes something a system cannot model. Another replay would happen. The ball leaving Isagi's foot. Air warping, the goalkeeper frozen, and then the net exploding. A demon born from despair has begun to devour logic itself. So this is the striker you wanted to create, Ego-san? Ego's voice dropped into a whisper. No. This is beyond what I designed. Yoichi Isagi may very well be the one variable I can't even control. On the field, Isagi stood still. Then a roar tore out of him. Raw, animal-like, victorious. He knew it. He just crossed a boundary that he couldn't even reach before. Levinho stared, breathing heavy. Chris Prince smiled faintly. Yoichi Isagi, what are you truly? Bachira grinned, with his eyes blazing. He's gotta be crazy. Hajime continued to laugh, breathless. I guess I chose to back the right ace after all. The final results would happen, days after the match. Isagi was still training. Everything still felt very important to him. He couldn't stop. And still continuing to go to the practice field, closing his eyes and remembering that feeling. It all surged in one moment. Manshine City, undefeated. Players then gathered before Ego's screens. Numbers rolled upward. Second place, Itoshi Ren, with a $240 million yen offer. Murmurs clouded. Then, first place, the screen shifted. Yoichi Isagi, a 310 million yen offer. Silence cluttered the room, then offers flashed. Manshine City, Real, Manshine United, Arsenali, Liverpool. Even Isagi blinked once. Ego smirked at the screens as they changed again. A globe, a tournament bracket, the U20 World Cup. Now it begins, Ego said quietly. The world awaits your ego.